Quick note before we get into the episode. We actually recorded 2 episodes this week, but the original episode 24 got fucked because technology hates me. I think we figured out why that's happening and we're trying to fix it, but unfortunately we had to scrap that recording and skip to the next one. So if you notice us referencing yesterday's conversation or the last episode and feel a little lost, that would be why. Anyway, here's Wonderwall. And I was like, I gotta remember. And I did.
Good job. You did remember.
I remembered something.
That's wild. I wish I could do that.
Crazy. Never done that before in my life.
I don't know what that is.
What's remembering? I don't know her.
Mm-mm.
So. Oh, I just remembered.
You're doing so much remembering right now. That's
right?
Wild.
Crazy. These drugs are wild, man.
Oh my god.
I was trying to convince my mom that she has ADHD today.
How'd that go?
She doesn't believe me. But I was like, because I told her about my epiphany that I think I talked about yesterday on the other one. Or on the last episode. Yeah. Pretty sure I did. Of me realizing that I was just fucking self-medicating for years with caffeine.
Yeah.
The light is bothering me today for some reason. I wish I could dim my laptop, but I cannot. I don't think. I've tried to find it.
Mm.
I also don't understand technology, so...
I'm like, I can dim my monitors, but I'm...
Yeah, I don't know. Nice! This is pretty good. A little aftershock there.
It tasted like chicken. I was like, when did I eat meat? That was so gross.
Dude, I had corned beef hash for lunch today, and the burps were just awful.
Oh no.
They were terrible.
Oh. Anytime I eat something canned, it's like, that's a risk I'm gonna take.
Yeah, it's just like, here we go.
Burps.
I appreciate when I have, like, good burps, though. Like, it's never, like, necessarily tasty, but sometimes it's just, like the phantom of the food that you ate. Like you burp and you're like, oh yeah, that was a good lunch.
Yeah.
Like, the burp doesn't necessarily taste good, but you're like it reminds you of the meal. And you're like, nice.
Like, yeah.
Like, it's not gross, so you're like, alright.
I fuck with this.
Tastes like spaghetti. Fuck yeah.
To be honest, that burp was not gross. Like, it was just like, you had chicken. We had tendies.
Tendies. Chicken tendies.
Okay, now that we're completely off track, what did your mom say about your epiphany?
Oh yeah, also, she was just like, okay. Because I was like, I told her the bit, I was like, got to the part where I was like, yeah, remember when my grades just started absolutely fucking tanking? And that was when I quit, like, drinking soda and stuff. And she's like, I guess. And it was like, listen. She was like, well, you weren't always getting good grades. And I was like, yeah, because there were classes I didn't care about. But all of my grades collectively went to shit when I stopped caffeinating myself.
Yeah.
But then I was like, also, I'm pretty sure you have ADHD too. And she's like, why? And then I just described how she always has toys on her desk and how I was like, how long have you been drinking coffee consistently every day? And she's like, I don't know, since like high school. And I'm like, And then I described to her what I was like, how often do you do these things? And then just describing executive dysfunction. And she's like, well, all the time. And I'm like, uh-huh. You know what that's called?
Executive dysfunction disorder.
She's like, well, I just procrastinate all the time. And I'm like, no. You like, I mean, yeah, you procrastinate, but like, how often are you just sitting there and you're like, oh God, I need to do this thing. And then you actively decide not to do it. That's what that is. And she's like, well, whatever. I'm like, ultimately not that it matters. Like, she functions in her own way. Like,
yeah.
She's obviously not having a problem with it, but I'm like, I just want to know.
Yeah.
Like, well, and then I'm like, how many of my siblings have this problem? Are all of us just fucking neurodivergent? And then I went off on a tangent with her where I was like, and now I'm starting to get convinced that maybe I have autism. And she's like, I don't think so. And I was like, but let me describe all of these things. And she's like, well. And I just was like, okay, just think about all of the times, like, you watched me, I don't know how to interact, and, like, I don't comprehend social interaction. I get sensory overload, like, just shit like that. Or, like, I get fixated on needing things to be a certain way, and if somebody fucks it up, it, like, ruins my whole day. Mm-hmm. And, like, I was thinking about this earlier, too. Because it's, like, a big thing, or, like, at least very common, one of the most common aspects of autism is being obsessed with numbers, and I've always been like, nah, I hate math, fuck that.
Yeah.
But then I was thinking about it, and I'm like, no, I really am obsessed with numbers, just, like, in a statistical way. Mm. Not, like, I fucking hate math, but I'm, like, obsessed with, like, watching the numbers on literally anything. Mm. Like, I'm constantly checking numbers on, like, social media posts, or like our fucking view count, or like my car tells me how many miles to the gallon I'm getting right now, and I check it constantly, and like shit like that. Or I'm like constantly counting things down, or like checking just any number about anything, and I'm like, oh. That's a thing. But I just was like describing all of this, and she's like, well. And then I just was like, I need to go to therapy. And she's like, But also, just getting that shit diagnosed is going to cost like $1 billion. So I'm like, I have a pseudo-diagnosis for ADHD. Do I really need anything else?
Right, like,
it'd be nice to have coping mechanisms for things, but like,
right.
I have to get diagnosed with having those things first, and then... like, that's a few $100s that I don't have. And then continuing to pay to learn how to deal with it, like...
Yeah. Yeah, no. That's the same thing, like, when I was trying to figure out if I had dyslexia. It was just, like, getting that quote of, like, $800. And I was like, I have none of that money.
Yeah.
So, I guess...
Yo, insurance, you want to help me out? Nah. You on your own. Fuck that.
No, fuck you.
So, why would I pay for stuff?
No.
You don't fucking pay me. I mean, you do, but like...
well...
somebody pays them. They getting paid.
Yeah. But I was just like, it's not fucking worth it to me right now, because it's like, how much is that actually gonna help me? Right.
I feel like I want to be diagnosed with things, just for myself to, like, know yes or no, instead of just being like, do I have this? Am I making this up? Am I, like, fucking imposter syndrome shit. Or, like, maybe I have something else that's, like, adjacent, and I'm, like, looking into this shit that I think I have, and, like, trying to find coping mechanisms just, like, on my own, but then it's not gonna work because I don't actually have that or something,
Yeah, and it, like, it helps to understand, and also, like, if I do have dyslexia, or, like, some form of it, I could tell my employer and be like, this is why I am not good at this.
Yeah.
And This is why I can't really function doing this.
Yeah, right.
And then they could be like, oh, okay. You know, like, I understand.
Right. And I also feel like, because I've been thinking about this one a lot lately, just with the autism thing. I'm like, if I could just, like, if I knew for sure that this is something that I have, then when somebody says that I'm being an asshole, I can understand why, and I could explain to them why.
Yeah.
Like, I am not trying to be an asshole, but I don't understand your social interaction, and that's why I'm being like this, I guess.
Yeah.
Or, like, when people don't quite, like, when there's just a disconnect between, that's, like, the biggest thing, it's just, like, the social thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just having a disconnect between me and another person, like, I could explain why that's happening at the very least, and then it's not just like, oh, Sasha's an asshole.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think that would just, help. And it's not an excuse, it's just...
Yeah, it's not an excuse to be an asshole, but I don't even, like, think I'm being an asshole, and other people do.
Yeah.
Or, like, I don't think people necessarily think I'm being an asshole, but a lot of people think I'm mean. Yeah. And I'm not trying to be. Mm-hmm. I just don't know how else to be. So...
yeah.
Instead of just being like, oh, she's being mean, just to be like, oh, no, that's just, like, how she presents. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And, like, this is why. Just having and this is how to read that, I guess.
Communication open and, like, being able to be like, this is why I do this. Yeah. It's just, like, an understanding thing. It's not like I'm trying to be an asshole or, like, I'm mad at you or anything. It's literally, like, this is just how I am. Yeah. Like, my mom would ask constantly, oh, is Sasha okay? Yeah. I didn't notice anything different about her. Yeah. Like, it's just how you are. Yeah. Even my dad the other day was like, is Sasha doing all right? And I was like, that's a loaded question, first of all. Right. And
I know. Second of all, anytime I get that, how are you doing? And I'm like, you don't really want to answer that question.
Second of all, I think she's coping. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to tell my dad about how everything is going to shit, but, in words that he understands as, like, a normal person, you're okay. Yeah. Yeah. Like, you're doing fine. Right. Yeah. I'll tell you when there's need for alarm, trust me. Right. Like, if I think you're going through a rough time, I'm going to be like, hey, Dad, leave her alone for a minute. Yeah. Or something along the lines. I'm not just going to, like, ignore you. Right. If you're going through something.
Right. But yeah, I just like whatever. Like, my brain ain't right. In some way or other. So, like, having an official, like, actual diagnosis for somebody to be like, hey, this is why your brain is the way it is, and then this is how we work with that, whatever it is, because it's like I don't want to say attached to the idea that I have autism, because that sounds weird, but, like, that's just, like, it's another one now that I just... It's like was like I was learning a lot about ADHD and got like delved into it and like learned a lot more about it, and it's just like we keep making the joke that my whole fucking personality is ADHD. Mm-hmm. And now I'm just sort of doing the same thing with autism because I'm like, well, like I never would have thought that I had ADHD before I started learning these things, and I never would have thought that I had autism before I started learning things. And they overlap so much too that's another thing that it's just like, this could just be super intense ADHD, but they have such overlapping symptoms that it feels like, or looks like I could also have this other thing. Yeah. But like, whatever the diagnosis would just be nice to know so that then I could work with that and be like, okay, this is the thing.
Speaking of like ADHD, I need to find like a silent fidget toy for the podcast.
Dude, what did I do with my ring? I must have left it in the bathroom when I washed my hands.
Because I've just been, like, picking at these scratches from Beetle.
Such a wiener.
He is. But then he's cute.
I feel you though. We'll have to get you a fidget ring.
Just gonna have to like find something that I can mess with.
So many. I could go get you some silly putty.
I'm okay for now. I'm just like rubbing my sleeve.
Right, I'm playing with my cord.
Just have to mess with shit.
Right.
But like you were saying, they all kind of like mesh together at some point. So you've got to like.
There's just so much overlap between neurodivergencies, and so it's like, which one am I?
Yeah.
Gotta catch them all.
My brain really says, let's catch all of the mental illness.
Right.
But it's not that I want to just be like, oh, I want to have all of these things. It's that I want to understand why my brain does this so that I can be like, well, so that I can form my life in a way that works for why my brain does this. You know?
Well, and so it's like...
Since learning I had ADHD, I'm like, okay, well, I need to, like, form certain things in my household to work with that so that I will remember things.
Right. And, like, knowing... Like, I feel like... And both of us have kind of done this. There are, like... I guess coping mechanisms for ADHD that you sort of form out of habit because you just know that your brain doesn't do what it's supposed to, even without knowing why. Like, you know, getting into the habit of leaving anything important, like, on your keys or whatever. Like, that's what I always have to do. Like, put anything that has to leave the house with me has to be on my keys. Otherwise, it's just gone. Mm-hmm. Or it's not with me anyway. Or, like, you put your... drugs on the kitchen table so that when you sit down to eat breakfast, they're in your face. And shit like that.
Yeah, just the other day we both like moved our drugs so that we could remember them in the morning. Just like, oh my god.
But like, it's so much easier if you're like, oh, okay, I have this thing and that's why I'm like this, and so now I can learn more about this thing and how to function with it. Mm-hmm. Like, because the things that you sort of form habitually without really thinking about it aren't enough.
Yeah. Well, like, another thing that I learned is, like, part of your ADHD. Of course, I learned it from TikTok. I learned everything from ADHD from TikTok.
Right.
Is that, like, having a list of things to do in the shower and, like, after the shower is, like, an ADHD thing, so you can keep track of what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Because I do, like, I'll get in the shower, I'll wash my hair, and then I'll just dissociate for 15 minutes, and then I'll be like, did I wash my hair? I don't know. Let's wash my hair again. And we'll just be in there for too long.
Let's just get, like, a whiteboard to stick in the like wall in the shower. And just, like...
I did this, and this, and this.
Except I'd have to remember to use the check mark, or the checkboard.
Yeah. The shower is the hardest for me, and I procrastinate getting in the shower because I forget shit that I wanted to do all the time. I'll be like, well, fuck, I wanted to shave my armpits, and I didn't.
Yeah.
You know? It's just like fucking asinine. So after the shower, it's easy because I have literally 4 things and I always keep track of it and I always count them. So I'm like, brush your hair, put on deodorant, moisturize your face, clean your ears. That's like all of them. He's under you.
I was like, he was over here, and now he's not.
He's under you, but his face is away from all the cords. So.
Okay, that's fine. He's pretty much out for now, anyway. But yeah. I, like, similarly, just having to do with the shower, or, like, any menial task, like, learned what body doubling is, where it's like, you can function better, or you can focus on what you need to do if there's another person in the room.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily need to be interacting with that person, but just like having another person somehow occupies part of your psyche, the part that's like overreacting to existence, I guess. Mm-hmm. So you're like projecting onto this person your extra shit so that you can focus like a normal person and look at whatever you need to do. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I don't know that I really do that. Like, when I learned about it, I was like, I don't feel like that's really something that I do. I mean, I enjoy, hanging out with somebody and just idly doing our own thing, but it's not necessarily something I seek out where I'm like, if I'm doing chores or whatever, I don't necessarily want another person around. Sometimes it's just kind of annoying, like,
yeah,
the other person's in the way or whatever. But then I realized that anytime I do anything ever that doesn't like 100% occupy my brain space, I have to have like YouTube on or a podcast, and I usually pick a video or whatever that's just roughly the same amount of time as whatever I need to do. And then I'm like, oh, I'm pretty sure that's just like internet age version of body doubling. Like, every time I get in the shower, I'm like, all right, I'll pick like a 25-minute video and then turn it on. And then I can just like get shit done. Mm-hmm. Even if I just have music on while I'm in the shower, I still just peace out. Mm-hmm. Like, I turn on the music and then I'm just like...
Yeah. The music doesn't necessarily help me in the shower, but I need it anyway.
Yeah, I get that. I do use music to count time. Mm. Like...
I've been in here for 3 songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it doesn't help me stay on track. I'll be like, yep, it's been 5 songs and I'm still in here and I still haven't done anything. Anyway.
Anyway, about this fucking monologue in my head. Yeah. I just keep thinking about our conversation. The other day I walked into the kitchen and I ask a lot of these questions because I'm just like, am I the only one? And I'm like, I can't be the only one who does all of this stupid shit. But I was like, I walked up to Sasha and I was like, so if you're like daydreaming, thinking about, whatever world in your mind, and you're like, do you ever like mouth the words or like use the same expressions as the characters that you're portraying, or like move?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just do that constantly, and that's another thing that I hope to God I don't do in public, because I don't know it until I'm like all of a sudden very like aware of what I'm doing.
Right. I absolutely do it in public.
Yeah.
I'm not as animated in public, because definitely if like when I'm alone, I'm like using hand gestures and I'm like mouthing the words or like scream whispering, honestly. Like if I am having one of those it's 3 a.m. and I'm arguing with someone who's not here conversations.
Like in your head.
Yeah, like this is what I would say if this,
Yeah.
Like my hands are all over. The dogs can hear me. It's a thing.
It like stuck in my head because you specifically said it's like I'm playing ninja with a ghost.
Yeah. Yeah. My hands are just all over. I'm very animated. Like I'm doing right now.
Yeah. But it's just...
But like when I'm in public, I don't mouth the words. At least I've never caught myself doing it in public, but I do make facial expressions.
Yeah.
And I've had people comment on it before. And then they're like, oh, what are you smiling about? And I'm like, I don't know how to explain this to you.
My daydreams are being pretty good to me right now.
Like, literally today, I was thinking about the conversation we were having last night where we were just roasting me for my fucking praise kink. And I just was like thinking about that conversation and kind of replaying it in my head and just making jokes to myself about it. So I'm like sitting there and I'm smiling. And one of my coworkers is like, what are you so happy about? And I was like, you don't want the answer to that question. I'm not about to explain horny cows to you. I'm just, you're like a 45-year-old mom. We're not going to have this conversation.
Oh my god.
So I'm just like, oh, you know, thinking about some inside jokes.
I do that too, just like after, hanging out or whatever, just like certain ones that just stick in my head and I just start giggling.
Yeah. Or like, I know that I do the same. People don't comment on it because they probably just don't want to like unpack whatever is on my face. But but I know that I do the same thing when I'm in like a bad mood too.
Yeah.
Because I do get just things stuck in my head that play on repeat. So like if something happens that just agitates me and just kind of sets me off, like I'll just it's so infuriating and I hate it, but I don't know how to break the cycle often.
Yeah.
But I just have
it on repeat.
Yeah, just this like fucking frustrating thing on loop in my head, and then I just get like more and more agitated over it because it just keeps going.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I'm wearing that shit on my face.
Yeah.
So I'll be like at work just like angry because of some bullshit, and I'm like, nobody ever wants to unpack this?
Nobody wants to.
You're gonna ask me what I'm thinking about when I'm thinking about something funny and horny that I'm like can't in good conscience tell you about. But you don't want to ask me when I'm like bitch facing it? Like I'm ready to go now. Like you ask me and I'm off.
Mm-hmm. I get that. Because the same thing happens to me, and I just like, I constantly have to tell myself, let it go, and then it doesn't.
Yeah.
Do
right?
anything.
I'm like, can we just move on? And my brain is like, no.
No. I'm gonna replay this same audio in your head for 5 hours.
Right.
Good luck, bitch. And that's why I don't like thoughts. I saw a TikTok today that was so fucking funny. It was this guy, and he's like sitting at his computer desk, and he's got like League of Legends on one screen and like Spotify on the other screen and like YouTube on one screen. And he's like, yeah, babe, that sex was really poggers. But I gotta get back to like watching simultaneously like 4 things so I don't have one single thought.
Dude, that's a fucking mood.
It really is. I'm just like, my mind's gonna wander during sex. I'm just gonna be like, I'm bored.
Yeah, dude, I can't remember if I've talked about this on here before. I know I've like told you about this, but I just remember when I was like not dating, but I guess like talking to this guy for like a couple weeks, and I just remember we were like sitting there and just making out, and he was like, he was into it. Like, not even trying to pat myself on the back, but I think he just was a horny dude, which is valid. But just like, I could hear his heartbeat. He's like breathing real heavy. He's like getting into it. And I'm just over here like my brain just piecing out because I'm like bored. And I'm just sitting here and my brain is like, ladies. And I just am like trying not to giggle while I'm making out with this dude. Because it's just, I'm like, I just get that fucking Mung Daal quote in my head that just keeps going, ladies. There's enough Mung Daal for everybody. And then I'm just thinking about Chowder. And like, not your boyfriend! And like,
RIP headphone users.
Good luck, everybody. But yeah, I'm sitting here and I'm like, I know he could feel me smiling. And I'm trying not to giggle.
Doing a great job.
Right? Like, he's like, oh yeah, dude, this is we're just really clicking, and I'm like so bored, and I'm thinking about cartoons. I'm like, are we done yet?
Making out has just like never appealed to me.
See, I'm down for it. I just was not
into him.
No, like, this was before I discovered what demisexuality was. So I was getting attention from a person, which is not something that had ever happened to me before, really. So I was like, nice. And he was attractive. Like, I acknowledge that, but I was just not really into him because I didn't know him at all.
Yeah.
So it just was like, this isn't really doing it for me.
Yeah.
I'm bored. Time to think about cartoons. Just being like, I should watch that later. Maybe when he leaves.
I can watch
Also, because I'm a piece of shit, he was like we weren't dating. We just were, I don't know, like fooling around, I guess, for like a couple weeks. And he like messaged me one day and he's like, I don't feel like we're really like going anywhere. Like, I don't feel like we're getting what I want out of a relationship. Like, I don't know about you, whatever. Because he was like, I want something a little bit more, with a little bit more emotional depth. And I was like, I mean, yeah, that's the same. But because I'm a fucking asshole, and I was like 18, he sends me this just talking about how he wants more feelings in a relationship, and I just sent him that fucking meme of the seal going, gay!
Oh my god!
And that was that!
Oh my god! Okay, that one was an asshole move.
Yeah. Like, I acknowledged it. I knew it at the time, but I was like, I can't resist. I was like, because here's the thing, nobody was getting their feelings hurt. Like, it definitely was a very mutual thing where I was like, I'm not really getting anything out of this. You're obviously not getting anything out of this. Like,
right.
There's no reason to continue. So, I mean, it's not going to hurt anybody. You're already wanting the out, so I'm just going to give you more reasons.
Oh my god.
And that's what we call self-sabotage.
I keep hitting the mic, I'm sorry.
It'd be like that. I do that constantly while I'm streaming because I can't see this thing.
Yeah.
Like, so I just go to touch my face and then I'm like, ooh. We used up all our words yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Now I'm just like, what else has been on my mind? We decided we're gonna use the slang a different day, so we're gonna have to
we gave
take pictures of the chat. So we
we'll have to screenshot them. We gave the squad homework.
Thanks, squad.
And then by the time I actually got home for us to record, it was like 11.
I'm so
and I was like, my brain is just not gonna be. It wouldn't have been a fun episode at the moment because I'm not. Yeah,
because we're not peak performance right now.
Like, I can sit here and
ramble about what I've been thinking about for eons, but
I'm not gonna have funny ideas for this slang thing at the moment. So we'll do it next week.
Yeah.
I also told my mom to try to think of some. Okay. I was like, what's some slang that was used when you were a kid that I wouldn't know? And all of the ones that she gave me, I already know. There's still things that we use, so I'm like, Mom.
I don't think you grasp the concept.
You were born before dirt. I know that there are words that we don't use anymore.
Speaking of words that we don't use anymore, like, my mom would constantly use words like that, and specifically I'm thinking of washateria.
Yeah.
Or a what is it called?
Laundry room?
Laundry
bathroom?
place? No, laundry.
Oh, laundromat?
Like, laundromat, yeah.
Yeah,
That's just what she always called it.
That I think of is my grandma still uses the word Davenport.
What's a Davenport?
A couch.
Hey.
It's the only person I've ever heard use that word.
Alright.
Well, I think both of my grandparents use it, but mostly... Well, actually, I don't know if my grandpa really says it, but...
But yeah, we gave them shit in the chat for not doing their homework, and guess who's not doing our work now?
We're like the teacher that is like chewing people out for turning stuff in late, but then we don't grade it for like a month.
We are. It's awful.
We've given them so much homework.
We have.
We like just collectively and individually.
Yeah. They're so supportive.
Yeah.
We have great friends. The squad, like, all of us have like started streaming, which is fun.
Yeah. The problem is everyone
wants to stream,
and
everybody wants to watch each other's streams. So it's like
we have to share the squadians, so we had to like make a schedule.
Yeah, I felt so bad because after all of that and everything, Nat was like, "I'm streaming tonight," and we were like, "Oh no!"
Problem is, we podcasted.
Sorry.
See, it's like I said on the last episode. Nat just consistently picks the worst times to stream.
For you to watch.
For me. And then I'll feel bad.
Yeah. I want to, like, catch everybody's streams that I can.
Yeah. Well, and then I keep thinking, we could go back and just watch the videos on Twitch or whatever, but then you can't interact.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's half the fun. At least, like, watching your friends.
Yeah, specifically when you're watching your friends.
Like, I don't care so much if I were to watch, like, some
other person that I'm not really going to chat in the chat with anyway.
Yeah. Like, then I'm just more interested in seeing other people in the chat, but I'm usually not going to interact. But you can do that on the videos. Usually.
Yeah. Emilu's been playing Mass Effect. Sasha just finished Link's Awakening. Interesting. The Windfish is both lovely and will give me nightmares.
I like the Windfish.
I like it, but it's something about it is unsettling, and I can't quite put my finger on it.
Maybe the fact that it's a giant whale with itty-bitty wings?
No. I think the wings are cute. It's something about it's like teeth or something.
I just like the design in general.
Yeah.
It's weird colors. It's kind of like circus colors.
Yeah. Maybe that's why. It's like a clown or something. I love it though, but I also think it's unsettling.
Yeah. I really like the art depictions in the game, like that you see in dungeons and stuff, like the not cave drawings, but like the illustrations of it, like on the walls and shit.
Hell yeah!
But I don't love the colors because it, like I said, it's like circus colors.
Yeah. I love colors, but like it just like gives off a circusy vibe.
Yeah. It's kind of just like that color combination. It's like the kitty furniture in Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't like that color combination.
Yeah.
It's like too much. But I like the Windfish's design. And it's such an odd concept.
Windfish in egg. Yeah.
Not a fish. Has nothing to do with the wind.
Right? Not a fish. It's a whale.
Well, at the beginning of the game, the owl even tells you, he's like, we don't know why he's called that.
Monday, I'm going to stream Fallout 4. I'm super excited about it because then I get to shove one of my very favorite games in people's faces.
Hell yeah, dude.
All my friends' faces, and they they're stuck because they want to support me.
Hell yeah, dude. Dude, that's like why I wanted to stream anyway, though. I'm like that's why I wanted to do Link's Awakening, though.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, there are just so many games that are like my comfort games or my nostalgia ones that I want to force everyone else to play, but like I can't. Because it's like, I do this with games, I do this with shows, I do this with books, where I have like my comfort thing. But I've done it so many times, like, it's not
a new experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, none of it is new for me. I know the whole story and everything, and I still want to go, like, I'll get the urge to be like, yeah, I want to go do this thing. But I also, like, I get to a point where I've played something or watched something or whatever so many times that I want to pull someone else into it to be like, I want to experience this, but I also want to, like, vicariously experience your first experience with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I want your opinions. I want to see how you react to
like,
this
I want to
scene.
bring someone else more or less into this fandom. We've talked about fandoms and kind of our general feelings towards that. But, like, having the, like, baseline version of that community with people that you know in real life to be able to, like, pull them in and be like, yes, I want you to experience this thing that I really like.
Yeah.
But it's not realistic for me to be like, everybody needs to, like, come over and play this game with me.
Yeah.
Like, that's...
Everybody has different schedules and...
Although, to be honest, that's, like, the entire reason that I started Binge Night.
I mean, fair. It's... How long have we been doing Binge Night?
A long time. Several years.
It's been,
but
like...
that's, like, the whole reason, because I was, like... I remember, like...
With, like, Vedette's Brigade, right?
No. We started it with... I think we started Binge Night before Vedette's Brigade.
Yeah?
I think so. Or they were close to the same time, but I remember specifically, like, sitting around and being like, I really want to watch Avatar again, but I want to watch it with other people.
Yeah.
And then just be like, alright, how am I going to get the squad to watch this with me? Because we couldn't just sit down and, like, binge it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, in one sitting. Or, like, consecutive days. Because you can't watch it all in one sitting, but... like, that's where the idea formed, where I was like... Okay.
And, like, over the years, it just got better and better because we had that set. So, like, our families knew, like, we're doing Binge Night on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
So...
Although it used to be Friday.
It used to be. But now, like, my dad knows I'm busy Wednesday nights, you know, we all plan for it. We set time aside to see each other, and I think that is very, very important.
Yeah. But that's also, like, my struggle where I'm like, every time we have to, like, we finish a thing and we have to pick a new thing, I'm like, well, here's the thing that I want to make you guys play. But it's always fucking Zelda games, so I'm like, I'm not just gonna make you play every Zelda game for Binge Night. Because that's just my comfort series.
I mean, like, I feel like eventually we'll get through it. I really, like...
But that's why I want to stream just, like, at least most of them.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, this is how I can make you guys vicariously play this game with me.
Yeah. I agree. And also, like, it opens the door for a lot of games that aren't really suited for Binge Night.
Yeah.
To be, like, shared, you know?
Right? Because we're always trying to find, the hardest thing is that we want to play, we've played any number of single player games and we just take turns and that's fine. And it's fun to do that.
Yeah.
But it's more fun if we're all playing at the same time, because then nobody gets, like, zoned out and loses track of what's going on or gets distracted. Like, we all have to pay attention.
Mm-hmm. Right now we're playing Kirby Star Allies.
Yeah.
And that one's really fun.
Yeah, I'm having a good time with that one. I think my favorite one that we've all been able to play together, though, and this is my Zelda bias, but was Four Swords.
Four Swords was so fun, honestly.
And part of it, again, for me, I just fucking love Zelda games. But also the format of that game, where one of the frustrating things for me with, like, because with newer games, mostly the only things that you can have, like, multiplayer co-op, like couch co-op,
it's online.
Most, like, couch co-op, mostly everything is, like, platformers, which is fine, they're fun.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, like, the Mario games or this Kirby one. But the way that they work can be frustrating for everyone who's not player one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, we're constantly playing Kirby because it'll just, like, zap you to player one if they're just moving somewhere where you are not. So, like, you're trying to check out what's on this end of the screen, but they're over here and now you're over there. Like,
yeah. I will say, when we were playing, what is this? The Mario one that's on the Switch.
Yeah, when you and I were playing.
Yeah, that one was pretty intuitive with, like...
I think it was easier having the two of us.
Yeah.
And that you and I...
We tried to stay together.
Yeah. Well, and because it would do that a little bit, it would still bubble whoever was playing second player.
Yeah.
But I think that you and I just, A, it's easier to do with two people.
Yeah.
And
with
B...
4 people, it's kind of chaotic.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah. And B, like... we spend literally all of our time together, so we're just very in sync.
Yeah.
And it's easier to communicate between the two of us to be like, no, oh, wait, I want to do this thing, or let's look at this, or follow me over here, versus when there's 4 of us and we're all screaming. Like,
which is entertaining in its own right, but it's also like, oh man, I wanted to be over here.
Yeah, I'm like, oh man, we went through the door, but I think there was a puzzle piece over there.
Yeah.
But that was one of my, like, just thinking about it now, because we're playing Kirby, and just, like, having those kind of frustrations. Like, it's fun, but just, like, I keep thinking about it. Like, that was one of the things that I really liked about Four Swords, is, like, if we're gonna go somewhere, if we're doing something, all 4 of us have to do it.
Yeah.
Like, it definitely, it's a game that you have to play with several players, versus games that you can optionally play with several players, but you can also do it by yourself. So it's really tailored to, like, playing by yourself, but your friends can tag along. Like, I really like that format of, like, you all have to communicate and work on the thing together, or it's not going to work.
Yeah, I really appreciate that.
And I wish that we could find more games that do that have that kind of system.
Well, there's a couple, but there's, like, they're only 2 players.
Yeah.
So, like, Yarny 2 is like that. And there's another one that's, that recently came out. And I don't remember the name of it, but it's by EA, I think. But it's like, you play as 2 parents who are kind of going through a rocky marriage, so you have to, like, fight your demons. Which, it looks really interesting. But it's 2 players, you know?
Right. But yeah, I just wish that there was more of that. And so much of, like you kind of said a minute ago, so much co-op is online. So it's like everybody has to have their own console, everybody has to have their own copy of the game. And, like, for the most part, we do, collectively, we have a pretty solid array of consoles. But, like, if it's an $80 game, we all can't buy that.
Yeah.
Like, it's so much easier if it's like, okay, we're going to play this $80 game, but split between the 4 of us, like, cool.
Yeah.
No problem.
It's frustrating.
Also, it just, like, I mean, we could play online together and it would be fine, but
it's not the
it's so
same.
much more fun to, like, be sitting next to the person you're playing with.
Yeah.
To me, anyway. Like, maybe it's just because that's what I grew up doing and that just feels more comfortable, but to me, it's just more fun.
Yeah. I would like to just, like, there's no reason why we can't have both.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I want to make sure that we still play, like, couch co-op games when we can and, like, keep an eye out for them. Logan just bonked his head on the side of the bed. But, yeah, I still want to look out for couch co-op games that we all can play on binge night, but, like, being able to also play something that we are also all interested in online is very fun.
Yeah. The biggest struggle with that is that the easiest thing for all of us to play on is the Switch, and as much as I love Nintendo, they're so behind with that kind of thing, like, that there's no like, you have to use an app to, like, have your online communication. Like, there's not just a function on the console for me to plug in my headset and talk to you, like. And at that point, it's like, why am I using the Nintendo app when I can just use Discord and it's better? Like,
right.
You know, and I mean, we can do that, but it's just kind of frustrating. And it's like I said, we have an array of consoles, but it's like, we don't all have all of them. So, like, me and Bree have PlayStations, and, like, the three of you have Xboxes, but I don't. And we all kind of have computers, but not all of them can do the same things.
Yeah, not all of them can handle certain games, and it's all over the place, which is it's difficult. To just enjoy things with the squad sometimes. Well, it's not difficult to enjoy things. It's difficult to coordinate these things with the squad.
I just wish that there were more. Like, I feel like that's the biggest struggle, is everybody has to have their own thing. Like, that's one of the bigger appeals to me for, like, couch co-op, aside from just, you know, being in the room with your friends while you're playing, is like, hey, you want to come over and play this game with me?
Yeah.
Not, hey, I want somebody to play this game with me, so can you go buy it and also the console that it's on or whatever?
Yeah.
Like Bree has this struggle a lot because Bree has everything. So, like, just, I'm not trying to roast Bree, but, like, that's just kind of how it is, that she has all of the things, and she's always like, no one wants to play this game with me, or, like, no one will ever play this with me, or I don't have anybody to play this with me. And it's like, well, yeah, because I can't buy the thing, or like, there's a couple that you can play with her that you've had, but you're not real interested in the games, or
I feel so bad. She bought me Overwatch because I kept talking about the characters and, like, the character design because I'm an art fanatic or whatever. But I kept talking about how I liked the characters. She bought me Overwatch, and I opened it and played it a little bit, but I was like, I don't like FPS shooters.
Yeah.
Oops. So, yeah, I get the appeal, but I'm just like, I'm a wiener and I'm not having a good time, so I'm not winning, so I'm not having a good time, you know?
I get that. It can be like we were kind of talking about this in the chat the other day.
Yeah. It's like, I don't have to
winning
win
isn't everything, but if I'm losing constantly, then it just sucks.
Yeah, then I'm not having a good time. If I'm not improving and if I'm not just like,
then I just feel like a failure.
Yeah, then I just feel bad, and I'm like, I get enough of that in real life. I don't need this.
Like, I could lose 5 rounds and then win one, and it's fine.
Yeah.
But if I'm just losing and losing and losing, I'm like, this isn't fun for me.
Yeah.
I wish that, like, I was just thinking about Splatoon, because that's one that is, like, kind of a shooter. Kind of.
Mm-hmm.
That we all were really into. But there are a couple things that, and I have not played it in a hot minute, so maybe they've added these features. But, like, I wish that, because there's 4 of us, I want us to always be on the same team.
Yeah.
Like, or I want to be able to choose whether or not to be on a team with my friends. Like I said, there's 4 of us, so,
Squad
like,
team.
we could form a squad, or we could split in 2s and just be like, we always want to be 2 on 2.
Yeah.
Or, like, and it could randomize it or whatever. But, like, it always sucks when we would play together and it'd be like
3 against 1.
Right, and you'd be like, well...
Oh, man.
And that's another one where it's like, I really don't want to be on the chat with, like, random people that I'm playing with, but I would totally be on chat with you guys.
Yeah.
Like, with my team.
What the fuck was that? Flop. Alright.
He flopping.
I think he burped and then just, like, flopped over, just, like, so dramatically. That's his name.
He sure is. Beep.
How long have we been recording?
It has been an hour, almost.
Oh, okay.
Just short of an hour. Nice. I'm gonna give it like a 7.
That one was pretty good.
It's hard for me to judge the volume accurately when it's going directly into my ears, so I gotta... But it had...
Dock me points. Because I'm cheating.
But it had a good, like, solid, like, wavelength.
How'd it look on the...
I don't know. I don't know where it's at now.
Don't tear my blanket.
No. Beetle.
It's, like, latched on.
Stuck to it.
You already ripped my bedsheet.
You're so rude. Itchy.
It's not a big rip, but I was still like, damn.
He's like, oh, shit.
A toenail?
Sure love me a goat toenail. Or
That's
cow or
essentially
whatever.
what it is, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Made out of the same shit.
Ugh.
Yeah. Well, we seem to have run out of things to talk about.
Riveting content. So, I'm gonna call it a night. I'm tired.
I'm tired and I hate it here.
I am tired. And I do hate it here.
Bye.
Bye.